Holy Vice. She's a Fulbright scholar. I think this is the second Fulbright scholar I'm meeting after the former Chief Minister S.M. Krishna. And we have with us Mr. Shyam Sundar, who is the head of digital media and a veteran journalist here. And all of the lovely women here, all of my friends, some of my colleagues. So we are here to listen to you first, and Mr. Shyam Sundar, who will take the floor and who will speak on the role of citizens as seekers of truth through the media. So we have seen that citizens are almost considered as viewers mostly, and they are considered as TRP points. So it's no longer that's no longer the story. The story has to be citizens as truth seekers through the media, and how free are we in giving them this information. So this is the issue that we will ponder, and I leave the floor to you, and I welcome you once again and all of you here. So
thank you.
We can start with you, Holy Vice.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before Holy Vice talks, I have a few sentences to the ladies and gentlemen. ನಮಗೆ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ 80-20 ಓಕೆ. ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಪತ್ರಿಕಾ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆ ಅಂತ ಜುಲೈ 1ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಅದು ಬರೀ ಪತ್ರಿಕಾ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಶ್ವ ಪತ್ರಿಕಾ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆ. ಸೊ ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ತಗೋಬೋದು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ವಿಶ್ವ ಪತ್ರಿಕಾ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆನ ಹೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ US Consulate Chennai ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವುಮೆನ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ and Kannada Prabha. ನಾನು ಶ್ಯಾಮ್ ಸುಂದರ್ ಅಂತ, suvarnanews.com editor, the digital face of Kannada Prabha newspaper. And I would like to introduce Holy Vice in few sentences. She is a Fulbright scholar. She teaches in Mount Carmel College, Bangalore. It's a women's college. More so, she teaches journalism in Texas State University. Different aspects of journalism he has taught. Especially her area of expertise is solution journalism. So before she leaves India, I want to know more about what solution journalism is. For you guys? Okay. So now we all know, ladies and gentlemen, that the India is on the election wheels. Okay, in another 15 days. Who will form the next government is in the hibernation. Okay. So in the meanwhile, see how free we are, how much freedom we enjoy, what are the obstacles. So these are the few areas we are going to discuss today. So in the light of in this background, I welcome Holy Vice to put your perspectives first. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for hosting this event, first of all, and bringing everyone together. It's an important time, and this is an important conversation for all of us to have, especially with just as much journalism expertise that's in the room, represented by all of us. This is an important conversation, and we feel like we should be having more of these as professionals coming together, regardless of who we work for or who we're competing with for news. I can certainly speak to the importance of a free press during elections. I know this is an important time right now in India, and when I'll return to the US in June, in just about a month and a half, and we're ramping up for 2020 elections in the US, and so this is a very timely and critical conversation for us to be having, especially when it comes to our responsibility as journalists. And one of the key perspectives I think that I have, and that I try to impress upon my students, most of my work these days is with students of journalism, and I just try to impress upon them how high the stakes are in this work. Yes, we have to tell the stories that maybe we don't want to, or we cover meetings that we might not always be interested in, and but we can't forget how dire it is that our audiences hear from us and hear the stories that we have to tell, and that the stakes are quite high, and it's incumbent upon us to get it right and to be persistent, fearless truth seekers, so that our audiences can have the best of what we have to offer them. in terms of factual information and making sure that it's presented to them in a way that they can digest, first of all, and in a way that's accessible to them. So that is my perspective in a couple sentences.
Okay. So any questions you may ask, but before you ask, I have one question, Holy Wise. Perhaps I'm asking on behalf of millions of people in this country. Okay. Let me read out that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is typed
Please.
for you.
Okay.
How digital transformation of the media is affecting election reporting, including disinformation?
So I think in India, one thing that is a challenge for the dissemination of misinformation is social media platforms like WhatsApp, especially in India. In the U.S., WhatsApp isn't a challenge for us. Not many people in the U.S. even are aware of WhatsApp. But in India, that's a huge platform that millions of people are on. And in some ways, it is not always possible for journalists to always be aware of where their information is going and how it's going to be presented on some of these platforms and distributed. But I think that it's a challenge that needs to be addressed, and that hopefully in our newsrooms in India, we're talking about how we are combating that and how we are putting forward news that is truthful, that is easily shareable across these social media platforms, but that within the sharing, the facts and the truth isn't lost along the way, that it stays as whole as possible. And that's something that I want to hear and learn from you all.
From any one of you.
Exactly, and on how you are working with some of these platforms to use them as tools.
It's recently, Microsoft has told that, recently a survey, 300 million Indians use Facebook and about 200 million people use WhatsApp. And also, the YouTube users are 250 million in India. And then Indian messaging applications such as ShareChat claims to have 40 million users. This means, and during these election times, it's filled with fake news and then hate speeches, and they are influencing the political choices during these election times.
Journalists and newsrooms really need to lead the way in educating audiences, instead of just kind of putting out the information and hoping that the right person reads it at the right time. Maybe we need to be more proactive in holding community workshops and bringing our audiences together, at least key stakeholders, identifying those key stakeholders, bringing them together, training them, empowering them to then go back and teach their family members or neighborhoods and communities some of the tools that we have to determine whether something is true or not, or factual or not. So I think that journalists, I think that we need to take a little bit more responsibility and ownership over training our audiences on how to be media literate.
So training the audience is one aspect of it. So how much media spends time on educating the audience, educating the voter is a big question. I don't think they have time. They may say, go and vote, don't forget vote, celebrate democracy. Beyond that, I don't know what sort of education you have done. Anyway, that's a different question. Holy-wise, I have a question, perhaps I'm asking it on behalf of many people. See, as Manjula pointed out, how to separate corn from the chef. What is fake news, what is not fake news. Yeah. See, day in and day out, we are exposed to this news explosion. Yeah. In spite of the newspaper or a media platform's credibility, whatever it enjoys, okay, forget it. But if I get a news, I just read it, okay, then I say whether it is fake or real, I don't know. How to separate it, I can't understand. Being given to understand the fake news is the biggest industry in the world. So what is your take on the fake news industry? So
I think we have to acknowledge that it is an industry.
Industry, yeah.
It is. I mean, people are being paid to write fake articles. They're being compensated by the number of hits that they get and the number of links and shares and all of that. So it is a business. And in many cases, I've heard interviews with perpetrators of fake news, and they're very honest. They say, we are in it for the money.
Yeah.
Like, we have no personal interest in the outcome. We are in it because it pays really, really well. And that, I think, is perhaps, and this is maybe another topic of discussion, is at what point do the tech companies have some sort of responsibility in some of the perpetuation of fake news and things that are blatantly false and misleading, lies?
See, some steps have been taken, very rare examples. I can say Google will block you, okay? If you give hate speeches. You know, the other day, 687 Facebook sites were closed down, knocked down by Facebook in India because of proliferating wrong news, right news, left news, whatever. But for a common man in India, see, we are a growing democracy. Holy wise, you represent a country of 33 million, and I represent 133 million. See what a vast area I represent here. So, and in this, particularly in Indian vernacular journalism, which is a growth point. Okay? So English is, hardly few people read. Percentage, but reading in Indian language is very huge. Further it will grow. I have a lot of numbers. I don't want to tell you all those numbers. So going forward, these neo-literates on using devices. A boy who has studied 8th class, 7th class is a dropout. In fact, he's a dropout of 7th standard, but he uses Android. Okay, he has access to news. See, so then what judgment he takes, at what decision he arrives at what are his concept, what are his decisions, or what do you think of the society at large? Is a major question because it literacy depends. Second, education levels. Third, using the devices, that's as a separate knowledge. Then comes your decision making. So it is 4-layer, 5-layer thing which is happening in a developing democracy. Madam, sorry to say, our country is a developing, evolving democracy. I don't know how democratic we are. I have no time to discuss about America. One day we shall do it. Okay. So right now we are evolving democracy. So these questions come up, madam.
Coming to Mr. Shamsundar's question, how to separate the corn from the chaff. I was wondering why this question has arisen now, because I've also been in the profession for nearly 34 years. And media ethics was always there, what we call the Lakshman Rekha. We've always followed from day one. Traditional media has always had its own rule book, and we've always been following it. So why is it so difficult not to do it now? How has it changed? Just because we have digital media or just because we have social media? Why should it change? Why can't we follow the traditional methods that we were always following and which worked very well?
Do you think that those traditional methods translate really well into the digital space?
Digital space, I think, is more free because there are no laws controlling the digital media. Otherwise, media houses with internal restrictions also were there because the media houses themselves followed their own ethics. Our own editors were always watchdogs. The very next day, my editor, before 9 a.m., if at all one sentence was there in any corner of the paper, he would tell us that where we were wrong or where we were slanted or where it was, it appeared like planted news.
ನನಗೆ ಅನ್ಸೋದು ನೀವು ಹೇಳೋದು ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ಐ ನೋ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್, ರೈಟ್? ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ. ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡಿಂದನೇ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು. ನೌ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ನ್ಯೂ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ, ರೈಟ್? ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನಾವು ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೋ ಕನ್ನಡ ಪೇಪರ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮಂಜುಳಾ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸಾವಿತ್ರಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ. ನಮಗೇನಿದೆ 4-7 ಲೇಯರ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅವಾಗ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಸಬ್ ಎಡಿಟ್ರು, ಚೀಫ್ ಸಬ್ ಎಡಿಟ್ರು, ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎಡಿಟ್ರು, ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಎಡಿಟ್ರು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಓನರು. ಈಗ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಶ್ಯಾಮ್, ಇದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಇವಾಗ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಿಂದ. ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ಕು, ಟ್ವಿಟರು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮೆಸೇಜಿಂಗು, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಗ್ರಾಮು ಇದು. ಆದರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗೇನೋ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದು ಇದು ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರೋರೆಲ್ಲ ಫೇಕ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿನೇ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾವ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ಗೆ, ವುಮೆನ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಕೆಲವು ಸಲ ಅದು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ನಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನು ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದು ಕೆಲವು ಸಲ 3-4 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ 5 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಪೇಪರು ಮತ್ತು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ, ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಟಿವ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಮು, ಇದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟೋ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೋರಿನೋ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಚೀಫ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ರು, ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎಡಿಟ್ರು ಹೀಗೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ಥರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಚೌಕಟ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಇವರೇ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಒಂದು ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ರೇಖಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಳೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಅದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆದರೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ರೀಡರ್ಸು ಎಷ್ಟು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕ್ಷಮಾಪಣೆ ಕೇಳೋ ತನಕ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Essentially what is she is talking around is there is no control when the social media has erupted. See, everybody has the freedom to say whatever they want. It is a global problem, not necessarily India, Karnataka. Yeah. Everywhere, Nigeria, it is also same problem is there. So nobody is there to control here. Okay, I don't know. Some messiah should come and control this. I can't control, you can't control, or any particular agency cannot control. But ಇವತ್ತು ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ನಾವು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಲೈವ್ ವರ್ ಸೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಡಿಯನ್ಸ್, ಲೆಟ್ ದ 100 ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ನಾನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆರ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ US, ಓಕೆ, ಯು ಆರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 1000 ಜನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೋಡ್ತಿಂಗೆ ಪಟಕ್ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದು. ಅದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದರೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಈ ಪೆರೆಲ್ಲು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ನಾನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಅನ್ವೆರಿಫೈಡ್ ಕಾಂಟೆಂಟ್ ವಿ ಸೇ ಇನ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಮ್, ರೈಟ್? ಅದು ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ದಿ ಪಾಯ್ಸನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕೆನ್ corrupt any mind, a young girl's mind, young boy's mind. So it spoils. Particularly people who are not adult, who cannot verify what is good, what is bad. Or, okay, let me wait for it. So that type of patience youngsters they don't have. They suddenly punch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
ಶ್ಯಾಮ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವೀಗ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ನ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಟ್ ಫಾರಮ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಆದರೆ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಕೂಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಕೂಡ ಅದೊಂದು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಥರನೇ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಪೇಪರ್ ಇರಲಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಚಾನಲ್ ಇರಲಿ, ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಓನರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇ ಆದ ಒಂದು ಹಿತಾಸಕ್ತಿಗಳು, ಪೂರ್ವಾಗ್ರಹ ಮನಸ್ಸುಗಳು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಥರ ನಾನ್ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಆಗಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ತುಂಬ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೂಡ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಜನ ಇದು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಹೌದಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಅಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರವೃತ್ತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮುಂಚೆ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಅದು ಪಕ್ಕಾ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಜನ ಅರ್ಧ ಸತ್ಯ ಥರ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ಗೂ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಮೀಡಿಯಾಕ್ಕೂ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ
both media platforms and journalists both are partners in crime.
No,
that is what I am trying
I don't
to
know.
say.
Oh, I see.
So there is no doubt social media overriding media.
Absolutely.
Even print media and electronic media, but even electronic media and print media also it is controlled by some few people. How it possible? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬರೀ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಬಿಯಾಂಡ್ ದ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಈಗ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಅಂತಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಒಂದು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯಿಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋಂಥ ಮೀಡಿಯಾನೇ ಇವಾಗ ಅದರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಈ ಥರದ ಒಂದು ಫೇಕ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಸೊ ಇದು ತುಂಬ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆದಂಥ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಲಿಮಿಟ್ವರೆಗೆ ಜನ ನಂಬ್ತಾರೆ, ಜಡ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜು ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗಿರುವಂಥ ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೇಕ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಟ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್. ಬಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸತ್ಯ ಸುದ್ದಿಯನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಂಬಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಜನ. ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಅದು ಟಿ ವಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಸತ್ಯವನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ.
Thing called today being a press freedom day. Okay, we are just observing it as one ritual, right? But every citizen in every country thinks that he enjoys that freedom now, every second. So that power is given to them. The technology has already handed over all its powers, amps, ammunitions, decision making abilities, and a common reader on the road, he's a policy maker. See, that has become a global, it is a conflict, essentially. ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ಈ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಡ್ರೈವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ದೋಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಡ್ರೈವ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ನೇಮ್ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್, who decide all these things. So they have a major role to play. So they can plug it somewhere. So ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಗೂಗಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಲೆಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಗ್ನೋರಬಲ್. So unless technology companies, which is a laptop maker or a mobile maker or whatever maker, so if they have to bring in something, checks and balances, you should say. You're not necessarily controlling. That checks and balances is one, and it is up to each individual to decide whether to disseminate wrong news, proliferate good news. It is up to them. See, you have to decide. We all journalists, we have to take our call. Not every time people will take your master, you are paying master, your company master, your chairman, nobody will decide. One time somebody may tell you do this and do not. Every time they won't come. So it is up to you to exercise your own freedom, your own judgment. So you have to take your call. See, ma'am has taught so many students in US, right? See, essentially, I want to know what you taught. Essentially, we have that some sort of freedom. Nobody can take it away. I write day in and day out, talk day in and out like how here. Nobody can take my freedom out. What is there wrong in it? Unless you are hand in glove with some agency or some in-party Democrats or Republicans in your country language, why I should be worrying about it? So first we have to clean ourselves. Journalists, we have to clean ourselves.
Yeah.
So the whole cleaning thing starts from me. Agree?
But, Holy Vice, can I just make a point?
One major microblogging site which restricted the forwarding of messages to 5. We really had a tremendous nonsense forwarding actually got checked to certain extent. That we all have to agree.
Okay.
And this kind of checking, I don't know how they can do it, but they are also responsible. The people who are actually, the technology giants, they also have to take responsibility and they have to check this. Otherwise, I don't think, ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಇದು ತುಂಬ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು.
Let me crack a joke this evening, ma'am.
Okay.
If Facebook takes out like and share button, and if WhatsApp takes out that forwarding option, the world will change.
That platforms won't
It is
survive
just a two button, just change one
They
code.
can't do it.
If Zuckerberg decide on changing that code, WhatsApp writing one code, the whole world will change. Any bets? Large.
Yes, to certain extent.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's no difference between journalism and propaganda. The line between journalism, publicity and propaganda, that is almost like disappearing. That is the problem I see, because I work in the social media content and I work in the digital media. What I see is what we call as mainstream media. It doesn't exist anymore. Because the digital mainstream media and the social media and the digital media, the blogs or the websites which crop up overnight, you can't differentiate between them.
Yeah.
When you are in a digital media, everything looks alike. How you are going to judge? See, as a traditional media, when you get a newspaper, what comes to your home, you can always decide, okay, this is a credible media. Because that newspaper owner is there in front of your eyes, you know where the office is, you can always go and counter them. But in digital space, everybody is anonymous. And that is the strength, but at the same time, that itself is the problem here. So unless we find, I think, you spoke of the technology there. I think it is not really possible to control, like whether the Google or I'm taking the company names, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, they really literally cannot control, because it's somewhere it is contradicting to their interests. They cannot do that. If Twitter starts controlling the fake news industry, the very platform will crumble.
I know.
They survive
I
on that.
agree with you. I was just telling in the manner of speaking that see how the dissemination and proliferation of right or wrong news happening because of the technology. They cannot take out those buttons, because if they take out, their industry They have to close the shop. They have to close the shop, right?
At the same time, there are we are also finding that there are a lot of companies which are coming, like Alt News, which are fact-checking websites.
Earth
There
News.
are alternate Alt News and all which are coming up. They are really doing a wonderful work. So I think to counter the paid industry or the fake news industry, we have to strengthen this fact-checking industry.
But I think we often see that, right? The challenges that come to the industry at whatever stage in time, then gives way to opportunities for us to step in and use the professionalism that we have and the tools that we have. And in this case, we are seeing a rise, and in the U.S. it's the same, of fact-checking websites and places dedicated places that people know they can go to either disprove facts, or if they have a doubt about the truthfulness of something, they can go and look at it. But we wouldn't have those rigorous devotion to facts unless we had this issue in front of us.
Yeah, I agree, because see, it is very important to teach the citizen to understand what is a propaganda and what is a news. I think as a journalist, we need to teach them. The job of the mainstream media or the journalist is to teach them that.
Yeah. Underestimating our readers? I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, actually,
That would be underestimating readers, I think so, because people have judgment, or even when you go to a search engine like Google or something, when I am searching for some information, I can easily make out which is good information and which is wrong information. I am able to judge. I mean, not just as a journalist. Similarly, I think others also can make out from the credibility of the information that is there.
But then I think one of the challenges is that no matter what your belief structure is, you can find something online to support it.
actually, I agree that.
How does it work compared to you?
Checking websites can do their job. The damage is already done.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
true.
How do you check that?
Yeah.
So we are short of time, and we are coming.
Yes, logic is to make the profit. Public interest is less. So that is also a fundamental change we are seeing. They are concentrated more on infotainment than on public interest issue. That shift we are seeing these days, because to strengthen the democracy, media should shape the conversations. They have to lead the conversations in view of public interest. Here, that public interest, it is missing so many times. Even in traditional media, we see this kind of thing happening.
Perhaps the corporate ownership, that is one reason, these days, especially in television media. The ownership is corporatized, and they're very clear about the fact this is my business, this is my TRP business, this is what I want to give to the viewers. And yes, sometimes the viewers are taken for granted. As ma'am said, we are underestimating readers. Readers may not be, but viewers are taken for granted. So perhaps that's where, the citizens can step in, coming back to the topic which we started with, how citizens can play a role in seeking truth through the media. And here I feel the citizens are not much encouraged, to come forward. How does it happen in US? I mean, are there any channels where citizens can act as truth seekers through the media?
Yeah. So I think one thing that we're seeing in the US, which is something that I mentioned earlier, is a lot of news organizations are bringing audiences together to create a much more transparent process for news gathering. Because I think sometimes our audiences think that we're the cooks in the kitchen, but you can never see the process of how we go about making the dish that we're about to serve you, right? And so a lot of journalists in the US are wanting to demystify the process of news gathering and be more transparent in how we go about interviewing sources, finding sources, letting them see that we are not taking sides, that we're being fair and balanced as much as possible. And so I'm really curious about, in the context of India, if there was more effort to bring community members together. Again, I'm not saying every community member, but key stakeholders within the community, bringing them together, training them, empowering them with tools, and then sending them out to also train their neighbors and family members and communities. We're seeing a lot of that in the U.S.
Essentially, she's talking about studying news gathering and dissemination in a methodical way, in a scientific way, and then you become a truth seeker. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
essentially, that training, somewhere is missing in India, I guess.
Yeah.
That type of training is seriously missing.
Yeah.
I also taught in journalism schools, and we have been there in this space, but somehow it's not passed on.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
passed on.
Yeah.
The student wants it and the teacher wants it, but somehow
But
there is no
yeah.
bridge.
Yeah.
That's what I see, particularly
Yeah.
in this part of the country. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now the time of Holy Wise.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. And before I wind up, there is a flower for you.
Oh,
Thanks for coming
thank
to
you so much.
suvarnanews.com
Thank
and
you.
India.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Happy journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
ಸೊ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಲೈವ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಟ್ಯೂನ್ ಇನ್ ಆದವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದೇ ಸೆಕೆಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಹೋಲಿ ವೈಸ್ ಅಂತ, ಶೀಸ್ ಎ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಮ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಇನ್ US. ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಶ್ವ ಪತ್ರಿಕಾ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ದಿನಾಚರಣೆ ಅಂತ. ಅದನ್ನು ಆಚರಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿದ್ವಿ. ಕಳೆದ 30 ನಿಮಿಷದಿಂದ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಇದರ ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆ ಮೆಸೇಜನ್ನ ಹಿಡಿದು ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಎದುರುಗಡೆ ಕೂತಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹಿಳೆಗಳು, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವುಮೆನ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್. ದೇ ಪುಟ್ ಇನ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್, hundreds of thousands of words, reels of news, they all done. Okay, I can't tell you more. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಪತ್ರಿಕೋದ್ಯಮ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟು ಕೊಲೆಗೆಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ಯಾವ ಸುದ್ದಿ ನಂಬೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಎಲ್ಲ ಬರೋದು ಸುಳ್ಳು, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಇದು ಬರೀ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಇಂಥವೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಶ್ಯಾಮಚಂದ್ರ ನಾನು ನಿಜವಾದ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಬರೆದ್ರು ಇನ್ಯಾರ್ದೋ ತಪ್ಪೆಸರು ತಂದು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫೋಟೋಶಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ತಂದು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯು ಆಲ್ ನೋ ಇಟ್, ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ನೋಸ್ ಇಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಆಲ್ಟರ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಬಿಷಪ್, ಲೇಡೀಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಜೆಂಟ್ಲ್ಮನ್. Just don't forward nonsense. Thank you.